American Family Radio, Financial Issues. I'm Dan Celia. It's great to be here. Fall Share-a-thon. I love Share-a-thon. I know all of you probably don't love it as much as I do. First of all, it gives me a break to speak my heart, to come in here and share how I feel about American Family Radio. And I love the opportunity to do that. And I just got an email from somebody that said, share your radio testimony. I think they mean... I think they were meaning my how I came to Christ, I guess, from the radio. It's very interesting, you know, that God used radio in my life twice. Two of the most important events in my life happened from Christian radio. And one is I was listening one day at a very low point in my life to a speaker. I came to Christ very late in life. And I was listening to a speaker who touched my heart, brought me to tears. A fellow that everybody knows who he is now, which is kind of funny. When he came to the public eye last year or so, both my daughters called and said, "Hey, did you hear about," because they knew who he was because they had heard my story and had seen his books. But I was listening in Baltimore to a testimony and to a speaker by a fellow by the name of Dr. Ben Carson. And I was incredibly moved. His testimony is phenomenal. He had just written his first book called Holy Hands, which I bought that week sometime. And I was moved in an incredible time in my life. And I got in the car, I was driving home, and I was searching for radio, and I ran across Charles Stanley by accident, right? And he was speaking directly to me. I mean, he was speaking about everything that I was feeling and what was going on in my life. And I pulled over on the side of the road as he prayed a prayer, and I accepted Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. As Ben Carson, God used him to soften my heart and prepare the way, and used Charles Stanley for that moment. And it is interesting as I think about that time, and I didn't know any Christians. Christian radio discipled me. It was all I had. I was discipled by Adrian Rogers and Chuck Swindoll and some great teachers and Charles Stanley. And it was a blessing that I didn't know any because I had such great men of God to disciple me. And 5 years later, as it were, as I was praying for 5 years for my wife to come to the Lord, I heard something else from Dennis Rainey on the radio. And pulled over this time and called my wife. I was 2 hours away. I said, "We got to talk." Because I'd been praying for her for 5 years, and he was telling a story of a man who had been praying for his father for 5 years. And the story went that Dennis Rainey said something, or the man's pastor said something to him like, "Your father's got 6 months to live. His father was dying." He said, "It's time to stop praying and start talking because your father's going to be dead in 6 months." And I just canceled my appointment, and I came back. I met with my wife. I made a reservation for a marriage conference for the following weekend. Talked to my wife, shared the Lord with her. She thought I was still nuts. She was mad at me, didn't talk to me all week. I dropped the news that we were going to this marriage conference. She was mad as a hornet. I had a miserable week at home, but she accepted Christ that weekend at the marriage conference. So twice, Christian radio having an enormous impact on my life. And here I am on Christian radio. I mean, it's just an incredible course of events that God has orchestrated in my life.